so I'm just going to get straight into it. So, in this presentation, I'll demonstrate my understanding of the play Othello, a tragedy written in 1603 by William Shakespeare. I'll do this by discussing the major themes, discussing the structure of the plot, and how plots interrelate with one another, analysing how the characters are developed, analysing how Shakespeare has used language to reveal the personality and motivations of the characters, analysing the use of imagery, discussing how language has been used to create mood and dramatic tension, discussing interpretations of the play made from critical reading, as well as discussing social and historical implications of the play. So, a discussion of the themes. There are many themes included within the play by Shakespeare that have been placed there to give certain effects upon the audience, as well as to add further layers of the narrative to influence the plot. One such theme would be that of racism. This is as Shakespeare could be using the theme of racism to challenge contemporary stereotypes of black people at the time. This is suggested from the fact that Desdemona defies the racist beliefs of her society that are aimed at her lover. Meanwhile, Rodrigo and the villainess Iago both hold racist views, with Iago describing Othello as an old black ram that is Tuppin, Brabantio's treasured white daughter. This suggests that those characters who hold racist views are the ones that have deviant and evil intentions, as Iago's trait of being a racist adds to his derogatory and negative portrayal that ultimately aims to ruin Othello. As within this quote, he is exposing the couple's affair to Desdemona's father, whereas as well it could be suggested that those who do not hold racist views are the ones who are kind-hearted, genuine and loving, as Desdemona has not once had bad intentions for her lover Othello. However, a weakness of this could be that Shakespeare himself may have held racist values due to the fact that Othello was easily misled to commit murder, and that a common racial stereotype of the time insinuated that black people were stupid and therefore likely to be misled, meaning that Shakespeare may have meant to convey this stereotype. Furthermore, discussing the themes, another prominent theme is that of jealousy, as it is possibly the catalyst of events in the play. This is evident from the fact that Iago was jealous that Cassio was given the promotion instead of him, as well as his belief that Emilia had slept with Othello. As a result of this build-up of jealousy within Iago, he devises his evil plan to ruin Othello's life by manipulating him into thinking that his wife Desdemona has cheated on him with Cassio. This means that the key events of the plot that include Iago carrying out his plan would have not occurred if he had thought about things in a different way that did not build up jealousy within him. Therefore, Shakespeare may have used the theme of jealousy to significantly impact the series of events that occur in the plot of the play. However, a weakness to contradict this suggestion could be that the events of the play may have found a way to occur even without Iago's jealousy, as some crucial events are left to chance, such as when Othello spots Cassio with Desdemona's handkerchief and instantly begins to doubt his wife and believe in an affair between Cassio and her. Therefore, with no involvement of jealousy, a crucial development in the plot has still occurred due to chance. So, a discussion of the plot structure. The plot has been structured in such a way that establishes early on that Othello is an outsider. Shakespeare may have done this so that the play goes on as he develops. It becomes clearer how the stigma against Othello affects his thoughts and actions. This is initially suggested by Brabantio in Act 1, Scene 2, when he says Desdemona has run from her girdage to the city bosom of such a thing as thou, in reference to her eloping with Othello. This could give the impression that strength to support this view of the plot structure is that the way in which Brabantio has dismissed Othello inhumanely as a thing will have lowered his self-worth and planted a seed of self-doubt. This may have become a factor in his downfall, as he believed the lies about Desdemona cheating, perhaps as he could have had a low sense of self-worth and have been wondering why she would be loyal to him anyway. However, a weakness to suggest otherwise could be that Othello may not actually be viewed as an outsider, as he is already a high-ranking member of the Venetian army, and therefore essentially a part of the circle. This can mean that tragic events later on in the plot were not a result of him being cast as an outsider, but perhaps the cause of other factors, such as the manipulation upon him by Iago. So, discussion of how plots interrelate. So, the main plot of the play is the tragic downward journey of the protagonist Othello. This main plot is entwined with the many subplots of the relationships between characters that ultimately contribute to the climax of the main plot, that being the death of Othello, Emilia, and Desdemona. A strength to support this is suggested from the relationship we see between Iago and Rodrigo in Act 1, Scene 1, when they come together through their dislike and hatred of Othello to expose Othello and Desdemona's love affair to the Bantier. This subplot relationship between the two characters ultimately contributes to the main plot of Othello's demise, as the actions of the two characters are an effort to chip away at Othello's life. Furthermore, another strength to support this view of how plots interrelate is the subplot relationship between Iago and his wife Emilia, as his domineering effort making Emilia take Desdemona's handkerchief in Act 3, Scene 3, ties in closely with his plan to deceive Othello and to bring him down. This subplot, therefore, could prove to be crucial in contributing to the main plot. However, a weakness to suggest otherwise would be that the outcome of the main plot may have been the same even if the subplot relationships did not happen and therefore did not interrelate. This is as many events in the play occur due to chance, as Emilia being there to retrieve Desdemona's dropped handkerchief, an object that played a significant role in Othello becoming more consumed with the idea of his wife cheating. So, an analysis of how major characters are developed. So, Shakespeare develops Othello's character from being a strong warrior to a weak and insecure lover by having the society that surrounds him view him as not good enough. This is suggested from how he is constantly referred to as the Moor by his peers. His derogatory use of identifying him by his minority race chips away at his sense of self over time, as it would appear that no matter how hard he tries, he will not be accepted nor perceived to be good enough by the Venetian people, and referred to by their actual name, like his actual name, like they are. This sense of mentally chipping away at Othello strikes Othello significantly, as although he is well equipped and able to handle himself in physical battles and combat, he appears to be unfit to fight. He appears to be unable to fight well in emotional battles. Hence why his constant belittling and lack of respect that certifies him as an outsider is crucial in developing Othello into the weak and broken man that he becomes. However, a limitation of this interpretation may be that Othello was never looking to be accepted by the Venetian people, as he had already built his way up to the heights of their society, as evident by his military ranking, and may have already seen himself as being accepted already. So, an analysis of how language is used to reveal personality and motivation. Shakespeare uses language to reveal Iago's manipulative personality and evil motivations. This is evident in Act 1, Scene 1, when Iago says, "I am not what I am." This juxtaposition could be interpreted as meaning that Iago is not actually the honest Iago that the other characters perceive him to be. Instead, he is a twisted, two-faced manipulator that hides behind a mask. Furthermore, this quotation is reminiscent of one from the Bible, of which Shakespeare would have most definitely read. Pharaoh, in Exodus 3:14, when God says to Moses, "I am that I am." It suggests that God is saying that he is how he appears and that his intentions are true and pure. The similarity in quotations here highlights how Iago juxtaposes God, which therefore gives connotations that he is evil and quite possibly a representation of Satan within the play. As during the 17th century, when the play was written, England was still very much engrossed within strict religious beliefs. However, this may not be the case, as Iago's true motivations and personality remained hidden to his peers, even though certain hints were given from the words that he spoke. So, an analysis of the imagery used in the play. Shakespeare uses imagery within the character of Iago to gain a sense of trust from the other characters. This is evident when, in Act 3, Scene 3, Iago is telling Othello the false story of how he heard Cassio speaking of Desdemona in his sleep. "Gripe and wring my hand, cry, O sweet creature, then kiss me hard as if he plucked kisses by the roots," he says. This sense of imagery spoken by Iago is so lucid and well spoken, with such flow and self-belief that Othello is left finding it hard to believe that it is anything but the spoken truth. This further empowers Iago to continue carrying out his manipulative plan, as by using such an intense flow of imagery to recount a false event, he has planted the seed of doubt within Othello's mind that will continue to lead him to his demise. However, this interpretation of Shakespeare's use of imagery could be misinterpreted as in its significance, as Othello is only finally settled on the belief that his wife is having an affair with Cassio, when in Act 4, Scene 1, he mistakenly believes that he has heard Cassio talking about Desdemona, when he says, "She is persuaded I will marry her," when in fact he is referring to Bianca. Discussion of how language is used to create mood and dramatic tension. So Shakespeare uses synesthesia to create a thick and strong tone of jealousy that poisons the mood of the play. This is evident when Iago ironically references it when manipulating Othello into thinking Desdemona has cheated, as he says, "Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy, is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on." This example gives the senses of taste and sight that contribute to the use of synesthesia. This quotation also refers to a green-eyed monster, of which links to the commonality of Elizabethan time that linked colours to human emotions such as red with anger. Furthermore, this use of synesthesia also inflicts tension towards the audience, as Iago warns Othello in such a way that is ironic and deceiving, as he himself is actually the green-eyed monster that he is referring to, that has a mental parasite of jealousy feeding on him, as he holds deep within him dark feelings of jealousy. However, a weakness to this interpretation is that no other senses are used by Shakespeare in this example of synesthesia, which could suggest the mood of jealousy and the tension inflicted was not his intention. So, a discussion of interpretations of the play gained from critical reading. From reading different critics' interpretations of Othello, it's fair to say that the play is powerful and capable enough to make people in the audience rethink their own attitudes. This is suggested from the black actor John Carney, who played the titular character in the 1987 South African production, as he said, "Even today, Othello still makes people uncomfortable." This is due to the fact that he performs the role in a society that reflected that of Venice and Othello nearly 400 years after it was written. As this was an apartheid era South Africa, a place that openly mistreated and discriminated against its black population, much like that in the play. Furthermore, the white audience members will most definitely question their own beliefs and behaviour towards black people, as the play itself openly presents the abuse that Othello receives because of his race, that ultimately leads to his painful and tragic demise along with his loved ones. This could further reflect the very real situation in South Africa of the time. However, this affecting the audience may actually be far-fetched, as not all audience members would have been watching the play with a critical eye to analyse the racist themes projected and then to re-evaluate themselves. So, a discussion of social and historical implications of the play. Shakespeare manages to reflect his society's views of women at the time onto the audience. This is shown in Amelia's obedience to follow her husband Iago's demands in retrieving Desdemona's handkerchief. This is because this action is a clear reflection of the role of a woman within Elizabethan society, as it was a common belief that women were both mentally and physically inferior to men, and therefore had to follow their husbands at every instruction. Furthermore, Desdemona reflects the loyalty expected of a wife at the time, when she emphatically says in Act 4, Scene 2, "His unkindness may defeat my life, but never tame my love." This shows her loyalty, as she is emphasising how even if Othello no longer trusts her and suspects her of adultery, she will still commit her love to him. However, the role of women within Elizabethan society is not highlighted as a whole by Shakespeare in this play, as there were strong and independent tight-fisted women such as the Queen herself, Elizabeth, who juxtaposed all expectations that were set upon her as a woman by society at that time. So, my conclusions. To conclude, it is more likely that Shakespeare intended to challenge racist views at the time rather than to represent and reflect them, as it is clear within his work how black people were typically unfairly oppressed by white people. Furthermore, it can be concluded that jealousy was the catalytic theme in the events of the play, as without it the play would have lost its most crucial and contributing motif. As well as this, it is clear that Othello is an outsider in Venice due to his ethnic background and the way that he is treated, even though he has gained limited respect from his military career. It can also be concluded that even though chance plays a role in the outcome of events in the plot, it is the various subplot relationships between characters that link to the main plot that ultimately contribute to Othello's downfall. It is also clear that the way in which Othello is put down by his peers for being a Moor develops his character into the weak man that he becomes. It can also be concluded that Shakespeare uses language in the form of juxtapositions to reveal Iago's true evil personality and motivations. Furthermore, it is clear that Shakespeare has used imagery to aid Iago's deceptive nature, along with using synesthesia to create tension and a mood of jealousy. The play Othello is also powerful enough to make people question their own values in modern society, as evident from its performance in South Africa. Finally, Shakespeare manages to accurately portray the common role of women in the Elizabethan era by making it clear their inferior role to their husbands within the play. So there is the reference list.